Word all-in-one news. How are you guys doing tonight? It is now April 29th. Goodness gracious, we're almost to May. Oh, you guys saw the video last night. May will be nuts. But yeah, it's 11:45 tonight here. And I'm going to talk about peace in the Middle East. There's some big things that came out today with the United Nations and whatnot, and other countries that are joining in. So that's what this video is going to be about tonight, and I'll try to keep it short, maybe 20 minutes or so, and I probably won't even, guys, we are going to start hearing about this more and more and more as we go into May. Even the UN Secretary General Guterres, he called on nations to take irreversible steps towards a two-state solution before June's France and Saudi co-hosted conference. He said, act now before it's too late. And we're going to get into the news here in a second relating to that. But he went on to say the world cannot afford to watch the two-state solution disappear. His call is to all the United Nations member countries to take irreversible action. In other words, it cannot be undone towards implementing, which means putting into place, a two-state solution. Guys, this is going to get really nuts as we go into May, seriously. There, who he named Hussein al-Sheikh. He's going to make his first visit to Saudi Arabia. This is wild. I mean, everything is moving into place for what's coming. And the replacement for Mahmoud Abbas, Hussein al-Sheikh, will meet next week with top Saudi officials in preparation for Trump's high-stake trip to the Middle East region, May 13th through the 16th. So the trip that Trump is going to take is being seen as a watershed moment, because Trump's hoping to announce breakthroughs in efforts to reach a ceasefire and a hostage release deal in Gaza. But keep in mind, this is a prerequisite for a Saudi-Israel normalization deal that Trump is seeking to broker as well, along with the agreement with Iran to cut their nuclear program. So this is what's coming up. But sometimes we need to just be still and know that Yahweh is still God. Be still and know that I am God. And accomplishment with Israel and other parties. It's all coming together. Today, the Saudi Council of Ministers stressed that for the security of the Middle East region, this requires speeding up a just and comprehensive peace solution to the Palestinian issue. This is in accordance with the resolutions of international legitimacy and the Arab Peace Initiative, which is the establishment of an independent state of Palestine on the June 4th, 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as the capital of the new state of Palestine. On the record saying, you know what, we're basically going to join France when France announces their understanding, and they announce the establishment of a state of Palestine. So the United Kingdom is going to join these forces. There's only a couple countries that still do not consider Palestine to be a new state coming, but they're all starting to change. And this is what Israel wants. Israel will be willing to sign a multi-year agreement only if Hamas is out of the way. Until then, they're like, nope. So, this is going to be central to the future state as more and more of these countries go with the Palestinian state and their cause. The UK finishes it, and they say, finally, we must seize the opportunity to build lasting peace across the region. But they're not the only ones. So I said this, these are just headlines from today. This one, this one, this one. This is, and I said, what is this, Peace Day? Because France today at the UN Security Council continues to charge forward with the two-state solution at the United Nations as well. Aspirations of the Palestinians to have their own state. He continued, this roadmap for the effective implementation of the two-state solution also involves disarming Hamas, defining a credible government structure from which it will be excluded, and the reform of the Palestinian Authority. He finalized it off by saying the UN and its agencies must play their full role in this matter. Irreversible steps to implement this in June. Antonio Guterres emphasized peace in the Middle East hinges on a future where Israel and Palestine living side by side with Jerusalem as the capital of both states. My Jesus, we are getting so much closer every single day now. Here's Antonio Guterres today talking at the United Nations.
Today, the promise of a two-state solution is at risk of dwindling to the point of disappearance. The rights of both Israelis and Palestinians to live in peace and security have been undermined, and the legitimate national aspirations of the Palestinians have been denied, while they endure Israel's continued presence that the International Court of Justice has found unlawful. And since the horrific 7 October terror attacks by Hamas, it has gotten worse on every front. We need the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, and we need a permanent ceasefire.
Did you notice that as well? That is the first time I believe he's mentioned October 7th and Hamas in one of these speeches. So something is changing because the United Nations has yet to condemn Hamas for October 7th. I mean, it's crazy. But this is I should have put the website up. But anyway, this is the background to what's coming. Because the United Nations has scheduled a high-level conference on the two-state solution to take place June 2nd through the 4th in New York City. The main aim of the conference is to obtain recognition of a Palestinian state from UN member states. This will allow the Palestinians to circumvent the Oslo Accords. And that's the treaty that governs their relationship with Israel currently. Talk about tricky. But the Oslo Accords obligates them to negotiate final status issues with Israel, including borders. And this is a prerequisite for a Palestinian statehood. And the conference is going to be called the High-Level International Conference for the Peaceful Settlement of the Question of Palestine and the Implementation of the Two-State Solution. And this is going to take place in June 2025 in New York. And it will be co-chaired by France and Saudi Arabia and is open to participation by all UN member states and observers, as well as UN entities. The Secretary General Guterres and the United Nations General Assembly President are encouraged to give the highest visibility to this conference. Listen to these key wordings here. The conference will adopt an action-oriented outcome document. Action-oriented outcome document. That sounds a lot like an accord or a treaty or a plan. And if they throw in 7 years onto this, wow. The purpose of which is to, quote unquote, urgently chart an irreversible pathway towards the peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine and to implement the two-state solution. This year, September 23 through September 26, 2025, 1 year later. They basically told us their global plans. The Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, Ayman Safadi of Jordan, spoke in a joint press statement held by the Islamic Ministerial Committee, saying, "We are members of the Muslim Arab Committee mandated by 57 Arab and Muslim countries, and I can tell you unequivocally that all of us are willing right now to guarantee the security of Israel in the context of Israel ending the occupation and allowing for the emergence of a Palestinian state." He said, "We have a plan, but we have no partner for peace in Israel." That was on September 28, 2024. He continued and finalized by saying there is a partner for peace in the Arab world, and that's why the international community needs to move. Here's his speech. It's a minute and a half, and then we'll wrap it up.
Let me add one sentence. The Israeli Prime Minister came here today and said that Israel is surrounded by those who want to destroy it, an enemy. We're here, members of a Muslim Arab Committee, mandated by 57 Arab and Muslim countries. And I can tell you here, very unequivocally, all of us are willing to, right now, guarantee the security of Israel in the context of Israel ending the occupation and allowing for the emergence of a Palestinian state, independent state, along the efforts that we all agree. He is creating that danger because he simply does not want the two-state solution. And if he does not want the two-state solution, can you ask Israeli officials, what is their end game? Other than just wars and wars and wars. I'm telling you, all of us in the Arab world here, we want a peace in which Israel lives in peace and security, accepted, normalized with all Arab countries in the context of ending the occupation, withdrawing from Arab territory, allowing for the emergence of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state on June 4, 1967, lies with occupied Jerusalem as capital. That is our narrative. That is, and we will guarantee Israel's security in that context. Can you ask Israelis what's their narrative other than I'm going to continue to go to war, I'm going to kill this and kill that and destroy this and this that? The amount of damage that Israeli government has done, 30 years of efforts to convince people that peace is possible, this Israeli government killed it. The amount of dehumanization, hatred, bitterness will take generations to navigate through. So ultimately the question is, we want peace. And we've laid out a plan for peace. Ask any Israeli official, what is their plan for peace? You'll get nothing because they're only thinking of the first step, we're going to go destroy Gaza, inflame the West Bank, destroy Lebanon, and after that, they have no plan. We have a plan. We have no partner for peace in Israel. There is a partner for peace in the Arab world, and that's why the international community needs to move.
Isn't that wild? You know, this totally reminds me of Zechariah 12:3. It will come about in that day, what day? This day that this happens, that I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples. Listening to this guy talk, the foreign minister there of Jordan, I mean, you can tell that they all feel like Israel is a pain in their rear end. I mean, all who lift it will be severely injured, and all the nations of the earth will be gathered against it. More and more and more of these nations are coming against Israel because they want a two-state solution. They want to get this done. They want to have their Middle East peace plan. They want this to lead to their utopia so that they can finally have their peace in the Middle East. And you're going to have the global world leader who's going to show up on scene to lead this all into destruction. Just like 1 Thessalonians 5:3 there. I mean, everything is coming together, guys. Everything. Like a thief in the night, when they are saying peace and safety or security, then sudden destruction will come upon them. Like a woman in labor pains with child. And they will not escape. Guys, this is going to get crazy because as wars continue to ramp up, with everything going on, it's almost like the calm in the storm. Like they want this to be like, yes, let's get this peace. Let's get this new leader. Let's get all these things happening. And France is totally reversing the whole thing, saying, you know what, Israel, we tell you what, if you allow Palestine to have a state, and we will recognize them as their state, then we will get, on your behalf, Israel, to get all these Arab nations that don't recognize you as a state to now normalize with you, Israel. And they will now recognize you as having a state. It sounds dirty because it is. And what's coming is Isaiah 28:15, I believe it is. It's a pact with Sheol and Hades. But we know it's still coming up with Daniel 9:27. But, you know, the whole thing with Antonio Guterres today is this whole thing with peace in the Middle East is going to stop, and we've got to take action now.
Estamos en los últimos días. Estas cuestiones que van a tomar lugar en Nueva York va a ser en junio. Y las profecías se están cumpliendo y quise poner este segmento de Baba News para que ustedes pudieran ver los pasos que se están tomando contra Israel. Parece todo muy bonito, pero sabemos que las intenciones detrás de estas cosas es para destruir al pueblo de Dios. Gracias por escucharme.